What if the movie star you idolized was a puppet, controlled not by a studio, but by a controversial church with a dark reputation? Tom Cruise's career almost crashed and burned, not because of a box office bomb, but because of Scientology's influence. In this video, we're exposing the shocking events that nearly destroyed his reputation and the lengths he went to regain control. But let's start from the beginning. Born on July 3, 1962, in Syracuse, New York, Tom was the second of 4 children. His family wasn't well off, and his childhood was marked by constant moving and financial struggles. Tom's father, Thomas Cruise Mapother III, was an electrical engineer, but Tom remembers him as a bully who would often hit his kids. He described his dad as a chaos merchant and someone you couldn't trust. His mom, Mary Lee, was a special education teacher, and she did her best to raise the kids with a Catholic upbringing. Money was tight, so Tom had to work odd jobs from a young age. He mowed lawns, raked leaves, delivered newspapers, and even sold postcards to make ends meet. Because his family moved around so much, he went to 15 different schools in 14 years. One of those schools was in Canada, where Tom's dad got a job in the military. While living there, Tom discovered his love for acting. He joined the drama club and performed in plays. One of his teachers even said that he was a natural performer. But then, his parents got divorced, and his mom took the kids back to the United States. Tom's dad later passed away from cancer. For a while, Tom thought about becoming a priest and even studied at a seminary, but he got kicked out for drinking and acting up. He realized that being a priest wasn't for him. Tom went back to high school, where he played football, but got into trouble for drinking before a game. He was always getting into something, quitting jobs or getting fired because he was bored. His life was full of ups and downs, but he never gave up on his dream of becoming an actor. His last high school was in New Jersey, where he continued acting in school plays. Finally, in 1980, he graduated and was ready to take on the world. He had no idea that he would soon become one of the biggest movie stars in Hollywood. Fresh out of high school, Tom Cruise packed his bags and headed to New York City, eager to make his acting dreams a reality. With the support of his mom and stepdad, he started the hustle, working as a waiter to pay the bills while tirelessly going to auditions. His perseverance paid off. After a while, Tom moved to Los Angeles and caught the attention of the Creative Artists Agency, CAA, a major talent agency. This led to his first small movie role in Endless Love in 1981. In the same year, he landed a bigger part in Taps, playing a wild military academy student. Endless Love opened doors for Tom, leading to more acting gigs. He joined the cast of The Outsiders, a movie based on a popular book, and also starred in All the Right Moves. People in the industry were starting to notice his talent. During this time, Tom dated a few women, including Rebecca De Mornay, Patti Scialfa, and even Cher. But he was laser-focused on his career. His big breakthrough came in 1983 with the movie Risky Business. He played a high schooler who turns his house into a brothel while his parents are away. It was a risky role, but it paid off big time. Critics loved Tom's performance, and Risky Business became a huge success. It was a turning point in his career, launching him into the spotlight and setting the stage for him to become the superstar we know today. In 1985, Tom Cruise, already a rising star, took on the lead role in Ridley Scott's fantasy epic Legend. He played Jack-O the Green, a forest dweller with a magical connection to nature. Interestingly, Tom would be called Jack in several other movies later on. It seems he liked the name. Legend didn't become a blockbuster, but it did get nominated for a few awards, including an Oscar. But the following year, 1986, Tom's career really took flight with Top Gun. At first, he wasn't sure about doing the movie, but the producers convinced him by taking him on a thrilling ride in an F-14 fighter jet. He experienced all the twists and turns, and by the time he landed, he was hooked. He loved the adrenaline rush and was eager to be part of the film. To prepare for the role, Tom learned how to ride a motorcycle and even got behind the controls of a real F-14. This was the beginning of his reputation for doing his own stunts, a dedication that has continued throughout his career. Tom's first flight in an F-14 wasn't exactly smooth sailing. He flew with a pilot named Lloyd Bozo Abel, who put the jet through some intense maneuvers. Tom ended up getting sick, and when Bozo started climbing, the G-forces pushed Tom's head down to the floor of the cockpit. He finally managed to tell Bozo what was happening, and Bozo's response was a classic, "They don't call me Bozo for nothing." There was another funny detail about filming Top Gun. Tom Cruise is actually shorter than his co-star Kelly McGillis, so he had to wear special shoes with thick soles in some scenes to make them look closer in height. This was particularly noticeable in a scene where their characters are talking after a motorcycle chase. Top Gun was a massive success, becoming one of the biggest movies of the year. It solidified Tom Cruise's status as a superstar and cemented his love for adrenaline-pumping action scenes. It was the beginning of a career filled with thrilling stunts and iconic roles that would make him a household name. In 1987, Tom married actress Mimi Rogers, who introduced him to the Church of Scientology, a controversial organization that would play a significant role in his life for years to come. Their marriage, however, didn't last long. They divorced in 1990, citing busy schedules and a loss of connection as the reasons. But Tom didn't let the divorce slow him down. He jumped right back into acting, starring in The Color of Money alongside the legendary Paul Newman. Years later, Tom shared a funny story about a lesson he learned from Newman on set. During a cold Chicago winter, Tom was freezing in a leather jacket, while Newman stayed warm in a car with a heater. Newman jokingly teased Tom about his choice of attire, showing him the importance of being prepared for any situation on set. In 1988, Tom starred in Cocktail, a movie that didn't exactly win over critics. It was even nominated for several Golden Raspberry Awards, also known as the Razzies, which recognize the worst movies and performances of the year. But that same year, Tom also starred in Rain Man with Dustin Hoffman, and that movie was a completely different story. At first, both Tom and Hoffman weren't sure about the film's potential. They jokingly called it Two Jerks in a Car. Hoffman even wanted to quit after 3 weeks of filming, telling the director it was the worst job he'd ever had. Little did he know that he would end up winning an Oscar for his performance. Throughout filming, Tom and Hoffman rehearsed together, even switching roles sometimes. Their dedication and hard work paid off, as Rain Man became a critical and commercial success. Even the legendary actor Michael Caine praised Tom's acting in that film, calling it perfectly played. Tom's character required a lot of discipline and nuance, and he pulled it off flawlessly, earning the empathy of audiences worldwide. Rain Man didn't initially set the box office on fire, but it quickly gained momentum and became a massive success. The film won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and Tom received the Kansas City Film Critics Circle Award for Best Supporting Actor. It's now considered a classic, and Tom's performance is a big reason why. In 1989, Tom took on a different kind of role in Born on the 4th of July. He played Ron Kovich, a real-life Vietnam War veteran who became paralyzed. This powerful performance earned him a Golden Globe Award, a Chicago Film Critics Association Award, and a People's Choice Award. It also landed him his first Oscar nomination for Best Actor. Tom was becoming a major player in Hollywood, and his star power was undeniable. In 1990, People magazine even named him the sexiest man alive. His next film, Days of Thunder, was a romantic sports drama about race car drivers. This is where he met Nicole Kidman, the actress who would become his second wife. Tom was so impressed with her performance in another movie that he insisted she be cast as his love interest. The idea for Days of Thunder came about when Tom and Paul Newman got to test drive a race car. They were so excited about it that they started making the movie without even having a finished script. They would often come up with scenes on the spot right before filming. Tom was so into the racing scenes that he even tried to read his lines from cue cards attached to the windshield while driving. This led to a minor accident, and after that, he had to wear an earpiece so someone could feed him his lines. Turns out, Tom had always loved cars and racing. He used to watch races on TV as a kid, and working with Paul Newman on The Color of Money only fueled his passion. Newman even let Tom try his hand at racing, and he got to drive a modified Nissan GT3 car on a real track. Tom's first race was a scary experience. He was terrified, but also exhilarated by the speed and adrenaline. In Days of Thunder, most of his driving stunts were done by a professional NASCAR driver. But even then, Tom's love for speed and excitement was evident. Fun fact, the cars used in the film were actually prepped by a professional racing team, and some even raced in real competitions later on. But the biggest spark on set wasn't the engines, but the chemistry between Tom and Nicole Kidman. They fell in love and quickly became one of Hollywood's hottest couples, getting married on Christmas Eve that same year. Nicole later admitted she was head over heels for Tom, so much so that she put her own life plans on hold. She desperately wanted to have a a baby with him, but sadly, she suffered an ectopic pregnancy and lost the child. This painful experience led them to adopt two children, Isabella and Connor, through the Church of Scientology. In 1992, Tom and Nicole teamed up again on screen for the historical drama Far and Away, playing Irish immigrants seeking their fortune in America. It was another chance for them to showcase their on-screen chemistry. Tom's star power was only growing. He starred in the legal thriller The Firm in 1993, a movie based on a popular book by John Grisham. This film was so big for Tom that he even negotiated a deal to have his name be the only one above the title on the movie poster. Another big star, Gene Hackman, was upset about this and asked for his name to be removed from the poster altogether. But despite the drama, the movie was a huge success, making $270 million at the box office. Every year, Tom Cruise's projects got bigger and more exciting, but he still loved action movies like sports and war dramas. So his next role surprised a lot of people. But he loved scary movies and had always been fascinated by vampires. The filming wasn't easy, though. To get ready for the role of Lestat, Tom watched videos of lions attacking zebras. It's a bit strange, but it helped him understand Lestat's predatory nature. Interestingly, the role was originally offered to Johnny Depp, but he turned it down. At first, the author of the book Interview with the Vampire didn't think Tom was right for the role of Lestat. The film was a box office hit, making over $223 million, and it was even nominated for a couple of Oscars. Since then, Tom has kept a sweet tradition. Every Christmas, he sends Kirsten Dunst, who played the young vampire Claudia in the movie, a coconut cake with white chocolate pieces. She calls it the Cruise Cake and loves it. In 1996, he starred in Mission Impossible, a movie that would define his career for years to come. He played Ethan Hunt, a top-secret agent who has to clear his name after being accused of a crime he didn't commit. It was the start of a hugely successful franchise, and Tom's role as Ethan Hunt would become one of his most iconic. Tom Cruise and his production partner, Paula Wagner, spent months brainstorming the story for Mission Impossible with director Sidney Pollack. But eventually, Tom decided to bring in Brian De Palma, a director he had met while working on Interview with the Vampire. Tom was impressed by De Palma's films and felt he was the right person for the job. The script went through many revisions, with multiple writers contributing to the final product. But the core idea of a secret agent framed for a crime and trying to clear his name remained unchanged. De Palma convinced Tom to film the first part of the movie in Prague, a city not often seen in Hollywood films at the time. The studio wanted to keep the budget down, but Tom had a vision for a spectacular action movie. He ended up saving them some money by doing most of his own stunts, even though some of them were quite dangerous. One famous scene involved Tom hanging from the ceiling, and he actually kept bumping his head on the floor until he figured out a way to balance himself with coins in his shoes. The trick Tom used to fool Jean Reno's character with a CD was a real sleight-of-hand trick, not movie magic. And that scene in the restaurant with the huge aquarium filled with lobsters? That was Tom's idea too. The director wanted to use a stuntman, but Tom insisted on doing it himself, even though there was a risk of drowning. Mission Impossible was a box office smash, breaking records on its opening day. Tom even turned down his usual $20 million salary for a share of the profits. Critics loved the movie, calling it a thrilling and exciting ride. The movie's success launched a whole series of Mission Impossible films, with Tom reprising his role as Ethan Hunt in each one. In the same year, he also starred in the romantic comedy drama Jerry Maguire with Renee Zellweger. This movie was another hit, earning Tom his second Oscar nomination. While Tom Cruise's career continued to soar, with his films becoming even bigger and more diverse, a personal drama was unfolding behind the scenes. His marriage to Nicole Kidman was falling apart, and rumors swirled that his involvement with Scientology was a major factor. By this point, Tom had become one of the most famous Scientologists in the world. Some even whispered that the church's leader, David Miscavige, had a strong influence over Tom, making him believe he couldn't function without the religion. Nicole, a devout Catholic, struggled with her husband's devotion to Scientology. Her father, a psychologist, also voiced concerns about Tom's behavior. In 1997, Nicole left Scientology, and rumors circulated that she had disrupted Tom's rituals and questioned the church's intentions. It's hard to know the full truth of what happened, but the strain on their marriage was evident. They eventually divorced in 2001, and their two adopted children chose to stay with their father and remain within the church. Despite the divorce, Tom tried to be a good dad. He even left the Oscars early in 2002 to go home and watch the rest of the ceremony with his kids. And then, an incident happened that changed the Tom image. In 2004, he made a bold and controversial statement that sparked a media firestorm. He declared that he believed psychiatry should be outlawed, a stance that aligned with his beliefs as a Scientologist. This statement raised eyebrows and drew criticism from many who believed in the value of mental health treatment. The controversy intensified the following year when Cruise publicly criticized actress Brooke Shields for using Paxil, an antidepressant, to treat her postpartum depression. He argued that there was no scientific basis for mental illness and that psychiatric medications were harmful. Shields fired back, defending her decision to seek treatment and urging Cruise to focus on his action movies rather than meddling in women's healthcare choices. This exchange ignited a heated debate about the role of psychiatry and the validity of mental illness. The controversy reached a boiling point when Cruise appeared on NBC's Today Show in June 2005. He engaged in a tense argument with host Matt Lauer, defending his stance on psychiatry and dismissing the effectiveness of medication. The interview became a viral sensation, with many criticizing Cruise for his seemingly aggressive and dismissive attitude towards mental health issues. The medical community didn't take kindly to Tom Cruise's views. They felt that his comments were harmful and added to the stigma already surrounding mental illness. It's like when someone is sick, and instead of getting help, they feel ashamed and hide their illness. That's the kind of negative effect Cruise's words had on people who needed treatment. Even The Lancet, a prestigious medical journal, weighed in. They agreed that psychiatric drugs might be overused sometimes, and lifestyle changes can definitely help. But they pointed out that Cruise, as a famous person, was making things worse for people already dealing with mental illness. Brooke Shields, the actress Cruise had criticized, called his comments a disservice to mothers everywhere. She was speaking out for all the women who struggle with postpartum depression, feeling that Cruise was making it harder for them to seek help. Eventually, in August 2006, Cruise realized the impact of his words and apologized to Brooke Shields in person. Scientology, the religion Tom Cruise follows, is known for its strong stance against traditional psychiatry and the use of psychiatric medications. This belief played a big role in Cruise's controversial views on mental health. It's even been reported that Cruise's anti-psychiatry views caused problems between him and director Steven Spielberg, who had directed him in Minority Report. Apparently, Spielberg mentioned a doctor friend who prescribed psychiatric medication, and soon after, Scientologists started protesting outside that doctor's office. This allegedly upset Spielberg and created a rift between the two Hollywood heavyweights. In March 2004, another significant shift occurred in Tom Cruise's professional life. His publicist of 14 years, Pat Kingsley, unexpectedly resigned. This raised eyebrows, as Kingsley was a highly respected figure in Hollywood. Cruise then replaced her with his sister, Lee Ann DeVette, who was also a Scientologist. This move further fueled speculation about the influence of Scientology on Cruise's career decisions. However, DeVette's tenure as his publicist was short-lived. She was replaced by Paul Block from the renowned publicity firm Rogers & Cowan in November 2005. This change in representation was widely interpreted as an attempt to control the narrative surrounding Cruise's controversial views on Scientology and his relationship with Katie Holmes. In 2013, Lawrence Wright's book Going Clear: Scientology and the Prison of Belief shed light on Cruise's prominent role within the organization. The book, later adapted into a documentary by Alex Gibney, alleged that Scientology had been involved in selecting romantic partners for Cruise and that he had exploited Sea Org and Rehabilitation Project Force workers for unpaid labor. One of the most shocking claims in the documentary came from Cruise's former auditor, Marty Rathbun, who alleged that Cruise had his then-wife, Nicole Kidman, wiretapped at the behest of the Scientology organization. Cruise's lawyer vehemently denied this accusation. Another disturbing revelation came from Cruise's ex-girlfriend, Nazanin Boniadi, who likened Scientology's practice of auditioning women to date Cruise and her experiences with him to white slavery. This further tarnished Cruise's image and raised serious concerns about the organization's practices. In 2005, Tom Cruise wasn't just focused on acting, he was also a passionate advocate for Scientology. He actively lobbied politicians in France and the UK to recognize the church as a tax-exempt organization. He even tried to influence officials in the Bush administration to support Scientology. It was clear that Scientology was more than just a religion for Tom. It was a cause he deeply believed in. Tom claims that Scientology helped him overcome dyslexia as a child and sees the church's teachings as a way to improve the world, but not everyone shares his enthusiasm. Some former members of Scientology, like actress Leah Remini, have spoken out against the church and criticized Tom's involvement. Remini believes that Tom has changed over the years, becoming more like the head of Scientology, David Miscavige, and fully dedicated to spreading the religion. She even claims that Tom is no longer the kind and decent person he once was. Rumors swirled that the Church of Scientology played a role in selecting Tom's next girlfriend, hoping to avoid the problems he had with Nicole Kidman, who wasn't a Scientologist. They reportedly introduced him to actress Nazanin Boniadi, but their relationship didn't last. Shortly after, Tom met Katie Holmes at a Hollywood party, and they quickly fell in love. Katie had been a fan of Tom since she was young, and their romance seemed like a fairy tale come true. In a whirlwind of excitement, Tom publicly declared his love for Katie on The Oprah Winfrey Show, and they soon announced that they were expecting a baby. Tom was so thrilled about the pregnancy that he even bought a $200,000 ultrasound machine for home use. This drew criticism from medical professionals, but Tom promised to donate the machine to a hospital after the baby was born. In 2006, their daughter Suri was born, and 6 months later, Tom proposed to Katie at the Eiffel Tower. They had a lavish Scientology wedding in Italy, with the head of the church as Tom's best man. Katie, raised a Catholic, converted to Scientology for Tom. Even with all the excitement of his personal life, Tom never slowed down his career. In 2006, Tom was back for another round of impossible missions in Mission Impossible 3. Critics liked this one more than the second movie, and it made a whopping $400 million at the box office. Tom was truly at the top of his game, even being named the most influential actor in Hollywood by Premiere Magazine and the most influential celebrity in the world by Forbes. Japan even declared October 10th Tom Cruise Day because of his love for the country. In 2007, he took a small role in a war drama called Lions for Lambs, which didn't do too well, but he bounced back in 2008 with a hilarious role in the comedy Tropic Thunder, where he played an unrecognizable and over-the-top movie executive named Les Grossman. He even got another Golden Globe nomination for it. That same year, Tom starred in the historical thriller Valkyrie, which was a commercial success. Between 2002 and 2009, he was nominated for 7 Saturn Awards, winning once. It was a great time for his career, with 9 out of 10 of his films making over $100 million at the box office. Tom's next movie, Night and Day, was a fun action comedy where he reunited with Cameron Diaz, but then it was back to serious business with Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol. This movie took Tom's stunt work to a whole new level. He climbed the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa, at the age of 49. It was a daring stunt that few actors would even consider. The film was a huge hit, breaking records for the franchise and earning over $694 million worldwide. Tom continued his love for action roles in 2011's Rock of Ages, a musical that didn't perform as well as expected. He then took on the lead role in Jack Reacher, based on a popular book series. Some fans were upset because Tom wasn't as tall as the character in the books, but the author defended him, saying that Tom captured the essence of the character perfectly. In 2012, Tom's personal life took another turn when Katie Holmes filed for divorce. Many believe it was because of her concerns about Scientology and its influence on their daughter, Suri. As a result of the divorce, Tom lost custody of Suri and has limited contact with her. He does, however, pay a significant amount in child support. Despite the personal turmoil, Tom continued to work on exciting projects. He starred in the sci-fi film Oblivion and the action-packed Edge of Tomorrow, showcasing his versatility and dedication to his craft. Even in the face of challenges, Tom Cruise's star power remained undeniable. He continued to take on daring roles, push his limits, and entertain audiences around the world. Tom's next mission was to star in a reboot of the classic horror film The Mummy. In this 2017 movie, he played a soldier who accidentally awakens an ancient Egyptian princess. Unfortunately, the movie didn't do too well with critics or at the box office. Tom didn't let that disappointment stop him. In 2018, he returned as Ethan Hunt in Mission: Impossible – Fallout. The stunts in this movie were even crazier than before. Tom jumped out of a plane from 25,000 feet in the air, and he was 56 years old at the time. He also broke his ankle while jumping between buildings, but he kept running like a trooper to finish the scene. The movie was a huge hit, making over $791 million and becoming the highest-grossing film in the Mission: Impossible series. With that kind of success, it's no wonder they're making 2 more sequels. In fact, Tom was even spotted on top of a moving train while filming Mission: Impossible 7. We can only imagine what crazy stunts he'll pull off in the next movie. But wait, there's more. In 2020, it was announced that Tom would star in and produce a movie filmed in space. He's teaming up with director Doug Liman to make this happen, and they'll be heading to the International Space Station on a SpaceX rocket. Now that's what we call a Mission Impossible. In the meantime, Tom starred in Top Gun: Maverick, the long-awaited sequel to the 1986 classic. The movie's release was delayed a few times because of the pandemic, but it finally came out in 2022, bringing back all the high-flying action and excitement that fans loved. Tom Cruise's love for thrills isn't just limited to the movie screen. He's a real-life adrenaline junkie, enjoying skydiving, scuba diving, and even piloting his own stunt plane. He owns a vintage World War II P-51 Mustang fighter plane, which he proudly calls Kiss Me Kate. He even went skydiving with James Corden on The Late Late Show, jumping from a plane at 12,000 feet. Tom's got a pretty impressive real estate portfolio, too. He owns homes in Beverly Hills, Clearwater, Florida, and even has places in London and West Sussex, England. He's also a big soccer fan, thanks to his friendship with David Beckham. He cheers for the Spanish team Real Madrid. But Tom isn't just about fame and fortune. He's known for his generosity and often donates to charities like the Ashley Flint Fund, the Tsunami Relief Fund, and the Diabetes Foundation. He's also a big supporter of the Church of Scientology, which he credits with helping him overcome dyslexia. One heartwarming story involves Tom's visit to a Dairy Queen in Virginia while filming War of the Worlds. He saw a jar with a picture of a young girl named Ashley Flint, who had been in a go-kart accident. Without hesitation, Tom put $5,000 in the jar to help her family with medical bills. This act of kindness shows his compassion and willingness to help others in need. Although Tom's not making movies as frequently as he used to, his films are still eagerly anticipated by fans all over the world. He's a global superstar whose movies have earned over $10 billion worldwide. It's amazing to think that despite his massive success, he's never starred in a Marvel movie, even though he almost played Iron Man back in the 90s. Tom Cruise's life is full of adventure, both on and off the screen. He's a talented actor, a philanthropist, and a thrill-seeker who never shies away from a challenge. It seems like the sky's the limit for this Hollywood icon, and we can't wait to see what he does next.